Hello everyone, I'm NTom64.
I'm ex-gamer Richy.
And I'm THD.
And welcome, a very dramatic Helldragon as always. Welcome to the HellfireComms playthrough of Professor Layton and the Curious Village. I figured, since this is November, the month of my glorious and dramatic birth, we do a game from one of my favourite series. We got Banjo running, that's one of my favourite games ever. This isn't exactly my favourite Layton game, but I did get it a Christmas or so ago, and, wake's not, want not, might as well turn it into a playthrough. Richy, I'm going to turn to you first. You, out of all of us here, have the most Layton experience having played all the games. How did you get into Professor Layton, the series as a whole?
Oh god, it's a really weird story. So, I remember seeing all the adverts on TV, which were everywhere at the time, because it was the DS, it was kind of blowing up.
Yeah, very popular series in Europe, actually.
Yeah, and, I saw the trailers and I just thought, it's a puzzle game, I'm not going to be that interested. I don't do puzzle games, because I don't like getting stuck. And then I happened upon a video that one of the people I was subscribed to at the time uploaded that had footage from the end of Pandora's Box / Diabolical Box, depending on where you are.
That's the second game, and my favourite.
And that just sort of captured my imagination, so I just thought, okay, I actually might enjoy this series. So that Christmas I got Curious Village and Pandora's Box, and fell in love with the series, and ever since then I got every single Layton game on release day.
Would you say it's because you're a limey lad that you enjoy the series as much as you do?
I noticed that you mentioned that this series is very popular in Europe. Gee, I wonder why.
Which is funny because Professor Layton himself is voiced by an American. What is his name? It's completely escaping me.
Herschel.
Christopher Robin Miller.
Ah.
Oh, you meant the actor's name, sorry.
Okay, Helldragon, Mr. Man, I'm going to turn to you now. How did you get into Layton?
I really gotta say, like Richie, I'm of the mindset that, this is mostly a puzzle game type series, and if the puzzle is not a Tetris attack thing, I'm just completely fucked over,
Yeah.
But when you started recording these games for your playthrough channels or whatever, I really got into the story, and I have to admit, in this scenario, I'm one of those people who would prefer to not have to do the gameplay in order to get to the story. Not that I'm saying Layton shouldn't have puzzles, it's very iconic of the series, obviously, but I really do enjoy all the plots and the mysteries that turn up. I particularly like Curious Village, probably one of my more favorite Layton games, because the mystery they set up is really very intriguing, and it just has this great build-up after a while, and it also has that, it appeals to my Metroidvania love, where everything's kind of confined in the one village. I just really like that. It's just my favorite combo. I'm not a big fan of the prequel shit. I don't know. It just kind of threw off the formula for me. I think Curious Village is just perfect the way it is, in my opinion.
Way back when, and I forget the exact year, I apologise, precision is usually one of my best traits, but I was dabbling in a bunch of DS games here and there, and I just happened upon, I think it was a ROM for the American version of Curious Village, purely for recording purposes, I swear. And, of course. And, I kind of fell in love with it. And, fun fact, the voice of Luke is actually different in the American version. In the American version, in the Yankee
He's a heathen.
No, not a heathen. Voiced by Lanny Minella. And in the UK version, Richie?
Luke is voiced by Maria Darling in the UK version.
Never heard of her.
I don't think she's done a whole lot. Definitely not in video games. But, the story behind that is that, so they did the dubbing for America first, and the game came out in America in February 2008. But when it got focus tested in the UK, one of the major sticking points was Luke's voice. I completely understand this because I hate Lanny Minella's Luke voice.
Oh,
whereas
you wound me!
I can't stand it. So I'm very happy that they went with Maria Darling's Luke, because it's a better British accent, and even if it's not necessarily perfect here, it's still the better acted voice, because, it's particularly noticeable in Lost Future, kind of the last few cutscenes of that game, which are just the best of any of the Lukes out there.
Man, this whole playthrough is just going to be saying, I like American Luke better, I like UK Luke better. What's your preference, Helldragon?
I prefer the Luke that in the American version. He looks a lot angrier on the box, because that kind of appeals to me more.
Oh, I think we're coming up to our first puzzle here. As Helldragon said, Layton games are essentially puzzle collections that a story is wrapped around. And much like, I can't believe I have to use this as an example, but I like the game, so fuck it, I'm going to flaunt conventions and do it anyway. Like how minigames in Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games DS, they kind of wrap a story around that, and it works, but you're mostly there for the meat, which is the puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Helldragon, I think it's time for you to flex your brain muscles. What's the answer to this one?
I'm gonna say, just off the top of my head and with my mental prowess, when this gets back on screen, I'm gonna say the house in the top left is the place to go to.
Okay.
We're gonna ask Richie? No?
I know the answer anyway, so it's not really worth asking me.
You got it right by using an FAQ.
Well, actually, I looked ahead in the video, so it's kind of the same thing.
Well, I can't really say I'm the better person, because I'm playing a bit of Miracle Mask, which is the second prequel game, first 3DS Layton game. And, whenever I reach a roadblock, as it were, I just turn on the internet channel and go straight for the FAQ.
I have to say, I wasn't a fan of Miracle Mask. The thing is that, for some bizarre reason, I found Miracle Mask puzzles somewhat okay, but I don't know whether that's just I was particularly switched on to Layton's puzzle type at the time, but I had to do that without a guide, mostly, because they were just coming out at the time that Miracle Mask was released, so I was just like, oh my god!
Yeah, very tricky if you're ever going to be recording these types of games. You know, what does that depend on certain answers and such, in order to move the plot forwards?
Now, there are two things I want to bring up, sort of, before we get into the main meat of it. First off, this whole game is presented as sort of a framing device, in that Luke is writing a letter to his pen pal. Of course, since the pen pal is named after your file name, I love the fact that Luke is writing to a dude called HFC, who is apparently too embarrassed to friend his actual name.
Well, that's how I refer to myself whenever I go out in public on those rare occasions. I just can't bear to say, yeah, I'm Tom. I record video games for the internet.
And secondly, this whole thing about this crazy fucking building here, by the way, good architecture here. The whole thrust of the narrative is that this person called Lady Dahlia is bringing in Herschel Layton, who is normally a professor, and presumably not an archaeologist of that kind of professor, to come in and help with this particular mystery that's being set up. It's sort of a callback to, in a way, Arthur Conan Doyle, the writer of the Sherlock Holmes stories. His occupation, he was actually, I believe, either a lawyer or a doctor. I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe it was a doctor. But sometimes, apparently, the police would come to Arthur for help on some cases because his reasoning and deductive skills were so good in the Sherlock Holmes stories, and apparently Arthur Conan Doyle did help solve some cases with the police, so I'm kind of getting that parallel with Layton here.
Oh, yes, we've reached that point. I have 12 matchstick.
Fuck you!
Oh, Penny Arcade, I long for the days when your art was not an abomination.
Franco has a real skinny, fat problem. He really should work on that.
Those arms, man. Couldn't bench press a single baby.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the entire art style is based on European animation, although, as me and Tom, I think, are pretty sure, everything is just ripped straight from The Triplets of Belleville, which is a film from, 2002.
Or, if you're of the UK persuasion, Belleville Rendezvous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a Japanese game, but this particular art style, I think, gives the Layton series a lot of universal appeal. Everybody looks very distinct, very cartoonish, but in a clean, satisfying kind of way. I really do appreciate how things look in the Layton series.
Okay, Mr. I looked ahead. What's the answer to this one? Pick the correct crank.
I don't think I looked ahead at this one. I'm gonna say number 1? No, that's too easy. Number 3. Number 3.
Helldragon is going with number 3. This is the format for this playthrough. We hope you enjoy.
You're just gonna fucking torture me with these, aren't you? What's correct? I don't know. Which one did you pick? It doesn't say!
Which one was it, Richie? Put him out of his misery.
Oh god, I think it was number 1. I'm just going to double check.
We do things right here at HFC. Let's head on in to Saint Mystere.
Not even with my Mitch sticks. Not sure what Franco is smuggling in his mouth, but he better get rid of that right away.
Don't spit it into the river. This is a preserved kind of area.
See, our bridge is steampunk. I hope you appreciate it.
Layton exists in some kind of era that straddles the ye olden days with modern times. I want to say it's like early 90s, but I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, later on in particular, we'll really discover where technology sort of overlaps with everything, and it gets pretty fucking nuts.
It gives that kind of timeless feel, does the series.
It is very, very, very weird, because I mean, like, in this particular game, it could quite easily sit in a sort of semi-Victorian era, but then you get to the sequel, well, I mean, the fact that you've got cars, it's obviously a big giveaway that it has to be at least past 1900s, and then we're gonna get cameras and all sorts, so...
Oh boy, that's just the tip of the fucking technological iceberg, my friend. You got that answer for us, baby?
It is slot 1.
Damn, oh well.
Helldragon 0 and Tom 1.
Hey, I got the first one right.
Okay, Mr. Look Ahead. This is Stashin Scarfin. In the original trilogy, which is Curious Village, Diabolical Box, and Unwound Future, or Lost Future, or Pandora's Box as well, I guess, he is the guy who kind of teaches you about hit coins and the like. I'm not actually sure if he turns up in the prequel trilogy. I've played Spectre's Call, Miracle Mask, haven't played Azran Legacy. Does he turn up at all, Richard?
I think he does. I can't completely remember. I'm pretty sure what it is that he turns up and then gets miffed off at the fact that you've already been taught about hint coins by somebody who's not him.
And considering what we learn later on about, just in general with the plot, the fact that he does show up in the prequels is kind of really weird when you think about it.
I don't even know. Stashin Scarfin is sort of a law unto his own.
Cosmic force.
The good thing about, like we were talking earlier about the art style, is that, as I said, a lot of the NPCs, they're very, minor one note, but in that way, because of their dialogue and because of their character design, they're all very distinct and memorable. Like, I'm really hard-pressed to, okay, well, I obviously don't remember everyone in this game, but I'm hard-pressed to think of one that just kind of blends into the background, you know what I'm saying?
This is something that the prequel trilogy has a little bit of a problem with, but we're not here to shit-talk those. Well, not in the first part anyway, we'll leave it for later.
Leave that for when we maybe eventually reach the prequel trilogy.
And of course, the currency of choice here in St. Mystere is not actual money, but puzzles. Although I'm not sure of the monetary value of that, but apparently everybody loves puzzles. Everybody loves solving puzzles. They don't have any real career aspirations beyond puzzles. I guess everybody wants to be a mathematician when they grow up. I don't know.
You get a set number of pick rats for each puzzle, and the harder a puzzle is, the more pick rats it's worth. If you fail a puzzle, that number of overall pick rats will go down. So you can still technically pass it. It's not like it goes to 0 or anything.
Yeah, but it is absolutely crushing when you begin to lose pick rats.
Mm-hmm.
A and C.
You only have to pick one, mate.
But you were indeed correct with wanting to pick A.
There you go, see? That's called hedging your bets, Tom.
If it weren't for the fact that A is alphabetically first, you probably would have lost that.
The thing that is really quite nice about a lot of the Layton puzzles, in Curious Village it's slightly iffy because although you can draw on the screen and use that to figure stuff out, it was only in Diabolical Box / Pandora's Box that they introduced the memo function, which is an absolute godsend because you kind of pull a sheet of paper essentially over the top of the bottom screen and then you can doodle to kind of work things out. So there's a lot of eventually logic and stuff, so you can generally work these things out. There's only a few that are kind of, you have to think outside the box to get through.
I love when characters kind of sort of not really break the fourth wall. Like Lucas saying, "Oi, Professor, shouldn't we be saving right about now?"
Well, he tries to explain that in universe, so to speak, as keeping a record of our adventures. But you don't exactly keep a record of your adventures, every time you go to the bathroom and have dinner every day, you know what I'm saying?
Wow, there's a hidden puzzle in this toilet.
Why is it still leaking? Why don't you figure it out, smarty pants?
You know what's terrifying is that there is actually a puzzle about pipework later on in this game.
There's many puzzles about pipework in the entire series, mate. I did one yesterday, a miracle mask.
That's very true.
So in short, don't fuck it up.
We have a long playthrough ahead of us, Luke, and if you get any puzzles wrong, you're seeing in the back of my hand. This one's worth 50. Go here, stupid. We will indeed go there. We got another part coming for you all today. Stay tuned for Chapter 1. Goodbye.